Welcome to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Mia and I read constantly. I read almost 400 books last year and we are trying to aim for at least 300 books this year. We have read 15 books in the month of January so far, so let's go over them. Just a little background, I am a huge lover of fantasy and sci-fi and dystopian, and then also mystery and thriller. I don't necessarily read too much romance or dark fantasy, dark romance genres. My goal for this year is to read way more fantasy. Last year it was like 50-50 between fantasy and thriller, and not that I want to cut out thriller or mystery at all, because I still am obsessed with it. I just have so many fantasy books on my list. I think I have over 300 fantasy books that I want to read. But just to get the mystery thriller out of the way, I did start the Stephanie Plum series. There are 31 books I believe in this series. And this series started way back in I think the 90s. It's still going. It's about Stephanie Plum, and she got laid off from her job, and so now she found a job with her cousin who hired her basically as a bounty hunter. So she has to find people who are missing their court dates and then bring them in. So every time she goes and tries to find someone, they either run away from her and she's chasing after them, or someone's missing and she has to go find them, but she realizes that person is missing for a reason because they're involved in a deeper crime, and so she has to solve it. It's supposed to be funny. It takes place in New Jersey. This girl is a true New Jersey girl. It's very witty and sarcastic. I actually would love to see this on the TV as a series. This was a movie, but I don't think the movie did that well. But I think this would be so funny if this was a TV show. I'm up to book 7. I'm listening to book 7 now. They're so easy to get through. They're only maybe 330 pages each. Another genre that I'm trying to get more into is science fiction. Science fiction sometimes goes over my head because I don't understand the physics, the science, the biology, the chemistry or whatever. And a lot of it has to do with quantum physics, time travel, astrophysics, space, whatever. I do like Blake Crouch. I think I can understand a little bit of his books because I did Recursion and Dark Matter, so I definitely want to get more into him too this year. But I did read Project Hail Mary. I liked it. I didn't love it. Basically about how Earth is gonna go extinct in years because there's this weird pathogen or amoeba thing that is eating the energy of the sun, and Earth needs sun. So if the sun is going away, then Earth is just gonna be extinct. Our male main character is on this ship. He wakes up from a coma in a different solar system. He's trying to get his memories back and find out why he's on this ship, and then he realizes that you need to find a way to get this amoeba pathogen thing to stop eating the Earth. So it's about his journey in space, and then he meets this alien creature named Rocky, who is supposed to be a spider with 5 legs, and also it's sort of like a cockroach too. He also was a little creepy to me, not his personality or anything, but just thinking that he was a spider cockroach thing, because if I see a spider in my apartment, I want to burn the entire thing down. And with the ending of this book, spoiler, skip ahead a minute if you don't want to hear the spoiler, this guy chooses not to go back to Earth and chooses to go live with Rocky on his planet instead, which is it's all spider creatures and stuff, and I don't think I could ever do that whatsoever. Bring me back to Earth and let me just be unalive there instead. That's why I ended up only giving this maybe a 3.75 stars, because it was still really good. I know the author has written The Martian, and he's so smart. This was so well written. It's just I could not understand it. Moving on to a fantasy series that has my entire heart, and I am so glad I read this series to start January with, is the House of Devil series. This series is very similar to Crescent City. It gives all the Crescent City vibes. It is an urban fantasy sort of mystery series, also a romantasy. My new favorite book boyfriends are Darian, Castle, and Roman. I love them. I'm obsessed with them. I want them in my own life. This also has a huge aspect of found family in it, which is my favorite trope. This is about Loren, who she's a normal human girl living in this magical world where it's werewolves and monsters and creatures and everything. And so humans are kind of looked down upon because they don't have magic. She and her witch friends are walking home one day after the bar, and then all of a sudden these dark slayers, which these dark slayers are kind of bounty hunters in their world, they start chasing after the girls and they kidnap her friend. But she knows that the reason they kidnapped her friend was because they were trying to get to her. And then one day when she's working, she is attacked by other dark slayers, but then another dark slayer named Darian comes out of nowhere, and he's supposed to capture her, but instead he realizes that she's just a human girl, so he ends up protecting her, hiding her away. They're trying to figure out why everyone's after Lauren because she's literally just a human. They're trying to get Lauren's friend back. Darian introduces Lauren to the House of Devils, all the Dark Slayers in his little posse, and like she realizes that they're not as scary as everyone makes them out to be. The whole series is kind of figuring out why Lauren is so special, and then also the relationship between Darian and Lauren. There's also so many magical creatures in it. Like the Dark Slayers have familiars, which now I want a familiar too. I want a little animal that's gonna follow me around and then I can just call it back into my shadow and it can just disappear inside me and then reappear. They're so cute. Most of them are dogs, but some of them are like owls and bats and like jaguars. And then also there's a little, they call it like a hob, where it's this like little like flaming creature that sits upon the refrigerator and like helps like put spells around the house, and his name is Mortifer. But he also reminds me a lot of Lele from Crescent City. She was so cute, and Mortifer is so cute too. In the third book they introduce Roman, so I'm not going to say too much about him, but he is just another hot, so tortured soul, but I love him so much. And there's a scene where it says like he broke down and cried, and like he didn't care if anyone like saw him cry or anything. Like he never cries, and I was like, oh my god, like stop. I am obsessed with them. 5 out of 5 stars for me, and the 4th book is coming out in March, so I'm super excited for that. Another series that I was working on last year but I'm going to finish up this year is Dungeon Crawler Carl. Now this genre is lit RPG, and I'm not a lit RPG girl at all. Like I don't play video games, I don't care about them. I think this just popped up on TikTok for me, and I was like, the book cover looks a little weird, but I'm interested in it. I didn't know if I would actually truly like this or not, but this was so fun. Basically, Earth gets destroyed by this like AI government corporation or whatever, and only about 20% of the Earth's population is still alive, and they get the choice between, do you want to stay on Earth or do you want to walk through the store and go into the dungeon? And you have to get through, I forget how many levels, but maybe there's like 15 or 18 levels or something. If you get through all those levels, like you have a chance to save, go back to Earth and like save it. But in like reality, they're basically trying to wipe out all of the crawlers, which is what the humans are called, like when they cross through into the dungeon. So this is about Carl, and he's with Princess Donut the cat, which is his ex-girlfriend's cat that he was stuck with when the Earth collapsed. And so they're trying to make their way all through the levels of the dungeon, and they're realizing that like this AI corporation, this government, like this alien entity, all these alien bodies are basically against them. Like they want to wipe out the crawlers. It's actually very political, but it's also like super fun because each level is different. They're meeting different creatures. It's very like gory because they're basically unaliving so many of these different creatures. They befriend different crawlers. The crawlers are unalive too. But it's also very emotional because Carl realizes that like his biggest saying is like, I will not break, they will not break me. I'm having so much fun, and the audiobooks are amazing. Audiobooks are like one of the best audiobooks I've ever listened to. Like it's almost like a graphic audio. I don't think it's called that, but it sounds like it because of sound effects, and the narrator uses so many different voices. He is amazing. From someone who does not like video games, doesn't like lit RPG at all, I truly am obsessed with this series. 2 books that really have let me down. 1 is Visions and Shadows, and 2 is Blood of Hercules. Both of these books I saw advertised on TikTok. Everybody was like raving about them, saying like 5 stars, 6 stars. So I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna like them, you know? I'm a sucker for fantasy. Visions and Shadows, I gave 2 stars to. This was like a weird post-apocalyptic fantasy where like Earth is gonna be destroyed no matter what. And so this girl living on Earth is confronted by this guy who says that like she's not from Earth, like she was just sent to Earth because she could learn like the human ways or whatever. So she gets transferred back to Valbera, where she's originally from, and then she learns that her sister is like destined to destroy Earth, like that's her superpower. And then her superpower, the main character, is to save Earth. And so the whole plot is like her going around to different countries and just scooping up like 10 chosen ones, 10 humans that are supposed to be saved, and bring them back to Valbera, which is like the new Earth. And I was just scratching my head the whole time being like, I don't understand this. Like there's no reason for this. I don't understand. It just felt very like so far-fetched. Like I know fantasy is obviously very far-fetched, but like in this case I could not believe it at all, and it just felt very Wattpad style-y. This wasn't good. There might have been a reason why the author was paying people to advertise this. And then Blood of Hercules, this is like a Hercules retelling, but I didn't realize that the main female character is actually named Hercules. I mean, her name is Alexis, but when she was a baby, she was like an orphan, and then like stitched into a clothing, there was a name that said Hercules, and she thought it was like a brand name, but like in reality she realized that like that's her name at the end of the book. But me going into this, I was like, oh, it's gonna be about like Hercules, a guy, like a 20-year-old guy, and like falling in love with like a human, and they're trying to save like the Greek Greek god world or whatever. No, that was not it at all. There's two divisions of the Greek gods. Like there's Hades and Persephone and Ares and Zeus on one side, and then there's the Olympians on the other side, which other Greek gods I kind of forget, but they're both divided. And this human girl who's been abused all her life with her foster parents, she learns that she has like Spartan blood in her, and so she gets like pulled into the Greek god world and has to go through this like Spartan war academy training, and she's the only girl, the rest of them are guys, to basically like prove her immortality or like work on her immortality at I don't know. But this is considered like a dark fantasy romance, like why choose? And basically the professors and all the other men in her life hate her. They think she's pathetic because she's a half-breed, like she's half Greek god descendant and half human. They also just hate females in general. A lot of this book was like her professors just yelling at her and screaming at her while she was training, and I like did not enjoy that. But then also from the male POV, it's like saying that they're like obsessed with her and they like want her, and I'm like, this is weird. So I might read book 2 because I still want to see how bad the series is. I gave this book a 1-star review. Like when I read a fantasy book, I want to have like butterflies in my stomach at least. I want to feel some emotion instead of just like disgust. That's what I felt with this book. Then I read 4 Ruined Realms, which is the second book to 5 Broken Blades, and the way I can describe this is like 6 of Crows, but like Asian inspired instead, because it's supposed to be like a found family. It's supposed to be like all these different people coming together they want to assassinate the king and steal the crown from him. 5 different strangers don't know each other at all, but then they all like meet and they all kind of form this bond to help overthrow the king. But the biggest difference between like 6 of Crows and like this is that in the 5 Broken Blades, characters don't trust each other, and same with the second book. There's still like a lot of mistrust. And in 6 of Crows, like they're more family. I think that's what's missing for me to make this like a really solid 4-star series with 5 Broken Blades. These characters, they stand out more individually. They have their own secrets, and they're only just like slightly trusting each other. And there's a lot of politics behind this too, and I think I got a little confused with the politics, especially because there were months between when I read 5 Broken Blades and 4 Ruined Realms, so I kind of lost the plot along the way. So I was like, I forget, like I don't really know what's going on here. But I still enjoyed it anyways. It was still pretty good. You know, you gotta support your Asian authors, so. And then finally, last but not least, I am starting the Dark Rise series. There are only 2 books out so far, but I've heard amazing things, and I need another like fantasy series that I just want to like devour. So I'm praying and hoping that the Dark Rise series will do that for me. I'm a little bit, maybe like 40% of the way to Dark Rise, and I'm loving it so far. I'm excited to see where that is headed. That is my wrap up for the first 2 weeks in January. If you sat through all of that, thanks for watching.